Well, from within the prison social structure, I mean, obviously, the lowest on the social scale are the pedophiles,
Right.
chomos, child molesters, and then snitches, rats. I think those two are probably at par in terms of how much they're hated, and you don't want to be one of those. If you're going to prison.
And how do people find out one way or another?
Well, I explain in my book. So what happens is when you show up after you're sentenced, you've accumulated paperwork, legal paperwork, which you're entitled to have on you, with the exception of one document, which is called your pre-sentence report. And the reason they don't allow or they don't want inmates to have that, because that really tells the story plain and simple. Like if you've cooperated with the government, so that you got off easy and somebody else, got a significant sentence because of it, it says it in there. So with the exception of that one document, you have everything else. And to a trained eye, which pretty much is everybody after a while, you could read that paperwork and you could surmise exactly what happened. So if your indictment was for 15 keys of cocaine and you got a 24-month sentence, you pretty much understand that this guy told, telling, as they call it. And so, what happens typically is somebody will ask for his paperwork, that person, and he'll say, nah, man, I don't give my paperwork out to anyone. And that's just as telling, the fact that he doesn't want to give it. So if you have clean paperwork, you don't mind showing it. Now, showing it is also another thing. I mean, you're not allowed to do that. If the, prison officials know or see you with paperwork that isn't yours, I mean, the person who gave the paperwork, both people will be going to solitary, to confinement, to the hole. So, but I remember when I showed up on the compound, some of the Russian Jews from New York, they came to see me, and they asked for my paperwork. And I had this big meeting on the yard. I had to bring my paperwork with this one guy, and he vetted it. And it was funny because he was reading it, but his English wasn't so good. So he thought it meant one thing, but when it meant something else, and I have to, no, that's not what it says. It says this and this and this. I had to explain, and then because of that, they had to bring in somebody else to confirm that what I was saying was true. It was like a real process. Once my paperwork was vetted, I was good to go. So there was no looking back. I'm not a rat. I'm not a pedophile. And, there's no problem. So when you show up in prison, your people, because people, it's all segregation, will come and see you, and they'll ask for your paperwork. The higher you go in security level, the more that's enforced, and the more severe the consequences if you have bad paperwork. In the lows, there's a lot of pedophiles. They get pretty much protected, but they're still, they don't have an easy time. They have a much harder life in prison. And rats, I mean, the reality is, I've said it before, with a 97% conviction rate in the feds, there's a lot of rats, So
What's the difference between an easy life and a hard life in prison?
I mean, if I'm a chomo, a pedophile, I can't watch TV, right? I can't go into the TV room. I can't sit in a chair. You're not going to get a chair if you're a child molester. And maybe I can watch TV from the back if I'm standing, but even then, maybe I can't even be in a room. Somebody will come along and go, yo, get the fuck out of this room. And he'll have to watch through a window on the outside. So most of the pedophiles, throughout the time I was there, just never watched TV. That's one example, they could go to the line to get their food, and inmates are serving the food, and they get, a small portion, 1/3 of what everybody else is getting. Just stuff like that, constant, day to day. Up at the yard, they want to get a machine to work out on. Well, man, I'm next, and somebody pushes them out of the way. So I think being a pedophile doesn't necessarily suggest that you're not capable of taking care of yourself or you're not ready to fight. But, after a while, how many people you're going to fight with and how much you're going to fight. And every time you fight, there's serious consequences. So, it's easier to just, accept the way life is for you there and just accept your place. As they say, you know, you got to check them. That's what the shot caller once said to me. You got to check these people, and that's how it works.